Where should we start? Let's start at the top. And apprenticeships. Apprenticeships are the only game in town at the moment. You'll have seen last year's Ofsted Chief Inspector's report, where basically apprenticeships were seen as being in a deteriorating position. They are not being delivered as well as they were historically. Now, if you look at the results of Ofsted inspections for specialist apprenticeship training providers, you'll see that actually the results are improving. So that can only mean one thing. That means that new entrants to the market are not properly prepared to deliver the apprenticeships. But there's almost an inevitability about that, because when you've only got one game in town, when the only growth available within your contract or within the market is to do with apprenticeships, then you're going to get all sorts of entrants who are just not ready. I recently was at a LEPDO sitting next to a sixth form principal who said to me he was thinking about getting into apprenticeships, and I said, really? That's somewhat surprising. Why would you want to do that? What do you know about apprenticeships? And he says, well, not very much, but my board of governors seem to think that it's a really good move. And I said, that's great, perhaps I'll get into A-levels. And he said, well, you can't do that. You don't know anything about A-levels. And I said, well, that would be my point, actually. So that's a little bit of a worry. What that leads to is people read the Chief Inspector's report and they read that apprenticeships are deteriorating in their standards, the quality is going down. And every one of us who's in that market, every one of us who does that, and including those of us who do it well or very well, are badged with that. So we have that hanging over us. Apprenticeships aren't great. Apprenticeships are a poor standard. We need to improve them all the time. But we've just had a recent Ofsted inspection last year and we're told we're good. So where do we fit into all of that? And that's a concern. I think other concerns that I have at the moment around the levy, we're not entirely sure how it's all going to work as yet, but there is one certainty, and that's if people's bottom line is being eroded by what is effectively a payroll tax, then any money that used to be in the training budgets is going to be slashed. Training budgets get slashed soonest anyway. That is just the nature of business. It's just what happens. That's not an opinion. That's just a statement of fact. And one of our concerns is that if you're spending 600 grand, if you're a big employer and you're spending £600,000 on training at the moment, and all of a sudden this 0.5% levy comes in and takes £600,000 or thereabouts off your bottom line, that's going to wipe out your entire training budget. So what does that mean? Well, that means that there's no money left for CPD, there's no money left for enhancement of skills, there's no money left for some of the extracurricular stuff that broadens our workforce rather than being specifically apprenticeship skills oriented. There's another possible risk as well that there will be a push towards trying to make any training that is happening in the workplace look a bit like an apprenticeship in order to be able to access the money that you were previously using to spend to do those sort of activities. So there's some concerns around that. I think a big issue for us is that there is a lot of uncertainty still. I've got large employers contacting me and saying, can we sit down, we need to talk about how the levy is going to work for us, we need to talk about how Trailblazers are going to work, we need to talk about they want the detail, the minutiae, they want to be able to sit down and plan they have 5-year plans, these guys. They want to sit down and be able to make those plans, and at the moment I don't think any of us are in a position to do it. We don't have any Trailblazers signed off yet. We're quite specialists in our organisation. We only work in 2 sectors, and the standards have not yet been signed off yet, so we can't even start to work with the standards. And employers are invariably asking for slightly different things within that delivery. That's okay, we can do all of that, but we're going to have to move really, really fast. Because this levy's coming in next April, and the Trailblazers standards should be ready pretty much any time. As soon as they are, we're just going to have to hit the ground running. Now that's okay, because as independent training providers, we're shape changers. That's what we do. We move. We're like amoebas. We fit the space, and that's what we will do, and we'll fit what the market requires. We're market driven. For those other providers who are in the market, it's going to be really tough for some of those guys, particularly the ones that have got a cost base that is relatively fixed, those who've got final salary pensions, those who, and you know, you've got to look at the colleges and say a lot of those guys have got a lot of overhead, uncontrollable. It's not their fault. That's not a blame thing. It's a statement of fact. Now, are they going to be able to change shape as quickly as they need to? I don't know the answer to that question. I think some may. But many won't. So we're going to see an awful lot of changes in the market we're operating in.